Today I'm going to talk about how ETD and tinnitus will impact your mental health in ways that a lot of people aren't telling you. Doctors specifically, and nurses and practitioners and allergists, they are treating you for the most part, but they're not really treating you here. In this video, I'm going to settle your mind. I'm going to help you relax because that is ultimately the prerequisite in getting rid of ETD, tinnitus, TMJ problems. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule. Of course, there are things that have gone wrong, things that have gone wrong in the past that cause you to have some of these issues. There are always exceptions. But if you're straight up dealing with mental problems and you know you don't have anything else going on, you've had your blood work, you visited your doctor several times, you even maybe even like me had your doctor on speed dial by email, and it just doesn't seem to be helping. You feel like you're annoying many people out there. You're constantly trying to figure out what's going on. This is when you're in the carousel stage, and it's not a good one. It's not like the actual carousel ride that you used to go on when you were a kid. It's the carousel ride that makes you feel like you're in a never-ending, horrible condition, and many people don't understand it. Some people don't care, and a lot of them just are unaware. And in this video, I'm going to calm your mind and let you know that you're in a battle between yourself and this condition. And ultimately, the only way to really defeat this condition is you have to get above the problem. You have to get above the condition. You have to stand above the condition. Some of you are probably wondering, how the heck do I do that? I can't see it, I can't feel it, and I don't even know where it's coming from exactly. Well, I'm going to talk about all these things. When I was dealing with this condition myself, I didn't quite understand it either. I was becoming this person that was just overbearing, hyperstimulated, and very highly charged person that ran around when I felt something that was wrong with me. And I didn't understand why I was like this now. I used to be a person that was just very calm about everything, very relaxed. And if I did have problems that I was dealing with, I was dealing with them the best that I could, but in a way that it was not panicky and not stimulating everybody around me. You become this individual that's just, you're just completely different. You're more panicky, you're a hypochondriac, you're Googling. Google never stops becoming your source of assistance. Now with AI, it becomes more scary because they tell you more things and they get more into detail. I just want to let you know, pretend ETD slash cousin tinnitus is a nuisance that's right next door to you. And the only way to really defeat those two things, those two problems, the ringing, the tinnitus, the ETD, the symptoms of ETD that comes with it, is you have to get above the situation. You can't defeat it by running away. There's no way to defeat it by running away. But how do you challenge it? The way you challenge it is you have to tell your mind that it's actually smaller than it really is. If you begin to overstimulate yourself because of every little tiny adjustment in your day of what it's doing to you. So it's going to make you adjust. It's going to make you feel this. It's going to make you feel that. That's understood. But to give that condition so much power, it's only going to grow like weeds. You have to put into your mind that it's a benign situation, and that it requires you to not think of it as big as it's trying to make you think it is. If you begin to panic, you begin to avoid. Avoidance and panic are the two things that fuel ETD, and it starts with the mind. You have to get above the condition. You have to do the things that you always used to do. So if you're a musician, keep playing music. Of course, with caution. You don't want to blast the music in your ear if you have tinnitus. Things that a lot of you already know. But if you are doing something and you completely change, you're trying to change your whole structure, your whole DNA, your whole self-awareness, you're trying to do all these different things to accommodate ETD, you're going to start falling into the trap of it. And that's where it wants you to stay. It wants you to stay. I'm just going to say it, but you all know what we're talking about. You have to get above the situation. You have to do the same things you always did. And you have to continue to not let whatever you feel that ETD is giving you, you can't give it publicity. You can't give it broadcast. If you continue to publicize it. Now, I'm not saying don't tell your spouse, don't tell your kids, don't tell your relatives or friends. I'm saying do it in a way where it's informative to them, but not in a way of panic to where you're worried about it. because if you start to give it that power, your brain is listening. And ETD pounces on the weak, it pounces on the vulnerable, and in the brain, it triggers your worry into a symptom. And every time you shoot a worry signal to your brain, it sends a pulse to your body, or specifically your ears, to overreact, and then it just becomes that carousel effect that we talked about. Once you get into the carousel, and there's no exits, at least it feels like it anyway, it's hard to get out of it, because every time you feel something, you react to it, you give it publicity, and it grows a little bigger. Think of it as ETD is like has a certain following. Every time you give it publicity, a certain level of followers grow over time. And every time you make ETD bigger, it becomes more harder to avoid. Anything that's bigger is harder to go around. You have to bring it back down to a level of you're smaller than me, I'm bigger than you, I control you, you are just in my head, and it's not the other way around. That is why a lot of you can't get out of this thing. It's not always your diet. It's not always doing red light therapy, even though I love this infrared device. It's not always the doctor's fault. It's not always your neighbor's fault. It's not always the mountain's fault. I had every excuse in the book of why ETD was there. I was avoiding the mountains. I was avoiding elevation. I was avoiding doing anything that I thought would trigger it or make it worse. Now, there are things that you do need to, if you're a person that has problems with vertigo already and balance issues, then those are things you already know about. But let's say if you were a person that was already doing those things and then you change, you're giving eustachian tube dysfunction the stage. You're giving it more power. You're giving it more followers. Therefore, it's going to become bigger. It's going to be harder to minimize. What you have to do is ultimately what I just said. You got to keep doing what you're doing. And you got to stop publicizing. Wow, I just made up a word. You got to stop publicizing how strong you think it is to everyone and yourself. And then here's the key. The steering wheel never actually leaves your hands. It always is in your hands. You're not passing the power to someone else. It's always in you. It's in your hands. So therefore, the next thing you need to do is you need to start putting your body into action. And what do I mean by that? Well, you have to start doing the things that are going to make you feel better in the interim. So basically is, as you're developing your strength in the inside, you got to start developing your strength on the outside. And what do I mean by that? You got to start feeding your body good things. You got to start in terms of diet. And when I mean diet, I don't mean any tricky, complicated tablespoon measuring, very hard to understand words of a diet. I mean just your basics. Get your fruits, vegetables, your carbs, your healthy fats, proteins, the whole normal thing that you've been doing since you were a child, hopefully. And what you want to do is you want to get that in order. And then you want to start filtering everything that doesn't do you any justice, any good. Anything that doesn't move the needle, take it away. Get rid of it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't do it. If it doesn't move your needle in your favor, stop acknowledging it, whatever it is. Folks, give me a minute. It is 109 degrees where I am right now. Not right now, but everywhere out there. So you got to get your body stronger on the outside. Then you got to exercise, strengthen the mind. You got to feed the mind the good endorphins. You got to feed your mind the movement. You got to feed your mind and your body the sense of balance. You got to exercise is going to improve your balance. It's going to improve blood flow. It's going to improve the healthy. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on, help, words. Basically, it's going to help with all the positive signals, the serotonin, all these things that are going to fill your body with good. Exercise is going to bring that out to you. Exercise, eating healthy are the things that are still in your hands. Here's the other one. Good sleep. You got to go to sleep. You got to focus. You got to do all these things. Now, if you're watching this video and you're probably like, wow, I'm already overwhelmed because I'm already feeling bad about everything. That is normal. Getting yourself overwhelmed is not a bad thing, because let me tell you something. Feeling the way you feel right now is far worse, is far less worse than what you're feeling with ETD alone. So this is better than anything that ETD is giving you, because ETD, eustachian tube dysfunction, will make you feel way worse than me listing the things that you ultimately will need to do. Now I'm gonna tell you right now. Once you begin to tell yourself that this thing is not gonna last that long, and you have to really mean it. You can't just say it and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna repeat it." You have to say it with meaning and emphasis inside. And so the reason why, hang on, the reason why a lot of you are not mastering getting rid of ETD is because your lack of thinking and the knowledge that you're not being provided. But it's you thinking that there's something out there that you need to find, something that you need to go out and hunt for. It really isn't that. It's really right there. And when I realized that, I started to get a hold of this thing. I started to realize that I'm searching more out there for something. I'm digging around in the dirty sands looking for something that I have no idea what I'm looking for. When you realize that the way to get rid of eustachian tube dysfunction and the symptom of tinnitus is not out there, it's actually in here. When you stop making ETD seem so big, it's not that big. Trust me, it's really not going to last that long. If it has lasted that long, you haven't been applying these steps. You have to tell yourself, tell your mind, that as long as I avoid this thing, it grows. As long as I worry about this thing, it grows. And as long as you continue to think you're not going to get over it, it grows. So if you can stop doing all those things, and I mean this, and I know if I'm talking unusually, like right now, I feel like I'm upset. It's not. I have so much passion for this because I was there, and I know all of you are much stronger than I probably even was then. And that's the thing. This condition will make you feel suicidal. It will make you feel out of your element. It will make you feel like you don't feel excited about anything anymore. You don't feel like you want to do anything anymore. You don't want to go anywhere anymore. And I'm telling you, I felt all of it. I had all of these things, and it lasted for 3 years. But the problem was, and it's not a flex to myself or anything. I didn't have anybody that really dug into how to really get rid of it. I watched some videos on YouTube. I wasn't too keen on getting into groups. I didn't think to get in any groups, any support groups. I wasn't as brilliant as a lot of you out there are. I wasn't thinking about all that stuff. I wasn't doing a lot of the things that a lot of you are doing, you all are doing. But I do know that the biggest thing is I started giving it too much power at the beginning, and towards the third year, I said, I don't care. I'm not giving up. ETD and tinnitus are either going to give up on its own or what, because I'm not giving up. I'm not speaking that. And when I started talking with confidence, you almost have to pretend like this condition is a person that's like challenging you in some way. When you stand up to the bully, and I don't mean this literally, but if you when you well, it helps sometimes. When you stand up to the bully, they realize you're not going anywhere. They realize they can't walk over you. They go away, usually. And they tend to think, okay, well, this person has a standing somewhere, and I can't stand where they are because they're standing there. You have to stop giving this condition the stance to be where you are. Once you do that, you have permitted them to take over your body, your life, your everything. It takes over everything once you have given it permission to. If you're in the stage right now where your stage 2 dysfunction has been granted, not on purpose, but granted permission to your life, you got to get out of it, and it's going to start mentally. No doctor is going to help you in the sense where they're not going to pull it out of you. You're going to have to, if they gave you medication, if they give you a procedure, some of you have done procedures and medications and all that, it's not helping because the brain is still not right yet. If the brain's not right, none of this other stuff's going to matter. It's not going to help. Unfortunately, you may get some minor relief, but the ultimate problem is how you're thinking about it. Once you change how you're thinking about it, you'll realize that it actually does do something to the body. It does go away. I promise you, even for those out there that have been going on for 10 years now, there are some of you out there that are on the 10th year. If you found this video in your 10th year and you apply these little methods, I guarantee you'll start noticing changes. Maybe even subconsciously you've already done that, and now it's not so bad anymore. I think all of you would agree you would rather have less symptoms than all of them. So if you can do a little bit now with this method, you can minimize the symptoms. You can at least live your life with less symptoms, and then you can take care of the rest later. But for those of you that are overwhelmed and buried under these symptoms, you're not going to want to do much about it. So trust me. Pretend ETD is the person on the other side of the ropes trying to get to you. And when you give it the power and you tell it and you actually challenge it and you say, look, I control my thoughts. I control what I can do. I control where I go, and I control how I feel. And you actually say it with emphasis and you say it with truth. You'll be surprised how you wake up the next morning. It's all in the mind. Of course, all these other things help. All the little remedies help. All the diets help. All the nutrition helps. Some of it helps. But the prerequisite is the mind. If you master that, all the rest will just fall into place. I promise you. The rest will just fall into place. But you got to do this now. You can't wait. Don't worry about how it's all going to end up. Trust me. It will end so fast as you start to do these methods. You'll be so surprised how quickly they dissipate. I started doing this, and before you know it, I was walking around the store and didn't have a problem. I used to have problems in stores. I used to have many panic attacks for no reason. Not sure what was causing it. Still to this day, I don't know why I was having that. Don't know. But I know now, one day I was just walking to go get something, and I was like, got back in my car after I walked out of the store. I said, oh snaps. I don't feel it. Nothing happened. It will happen like that. It will start gradually happening good to you, and you won't even realize that it's happening until after you're already done doing whatever it is that used to give you problems in the past. So I hope this video was very helpful for all of you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and step out of the Jaye Wellness Studio, get under the AC, and I will see you all on the next video. Take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.